Welcome to Women Igniting Change, the place to be for women leaders and decision makers who are passionate about changing the world and determined to act. I'm your host, Robin Jorgensen, former corporate executive, global speaker, and founder and CEO of Women Igniting Change. Let's dive in. Hey, changemakers. Welcome back to the Women Igniting Change podcast. Today in the studio, I have Sara Lomelin, the CEO of Philanthropy Together. She has been featured in numerous publications, such as the Associated Press, Forbes Women, and the Stanford Social Innovation Review, among many, many others. She has an incredible TED Talk called Your Invitation to Disrupt Philanthropy, and she is growing a movement of people-powered philanthropy to resource grassroots nonprofits, shift power dynamics, and promote widespread philanthropy. Sara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Robin. I'm super excited to be here with you.
I am too. What led you to become a passionate advocate for collective giving in philanthropy? And why do you think this approach is uniquely positioned to totally transform the way that philanthropy is done?
I kind of reinvented myself at age 40. At that point, I had just moved back from Dallas, Texas to the San Francisco Bay Area. Mm-hmm. I am originally from Mexico City. So as an immigrant, I wanted to give back to my community, right? This is my new country. This is the country where my kids were born, where I am living. And I really saw that a lot of, people in the Latino community weren't getting that, the same opportunities that I had. Mm-hmm. So that ignited, when I was in Texas, to start a giving circle with a group of friends, right? A group of Latino friends there. And when I moved back to the Bay Area, I had the opportunity to join the Latino Community Foundation. Okay. And I started there a network of Latino giving circles. So for me, the whole idea of collective giving, of giving circles, is to really change the narrative of who gets to be called a philanthropist. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be a billionaire. You don't have to be 65 years old and be a white man to be called a philanthropist. You can be in your 20s. You can be living anywhere. And you have the power to really change, your community and the reality of those around you.
That's incredible. So describe for our listeners what a giving circle is and the various types of giving circles that you see all over the world.
And that's the $1 million question, right? A giving circle is literally a group of people with shared values that gets together to create change. This group of people get together. They create a community or a sense of belonging. They pool not only their financial resources, but also, their time, the talent, and together they decide what cause they are going to support and, which particular organization or initiative or project they're going to support. And that, with the group coming together, gives you an amplified impact. You have not only more money, more dollars coming out, but also you have, the power of the group, more hours of volunteering, more skills given to a nonprofit. And there are, the beauty of this model is that it's like incredibly flexible. So each group kind of decides what fits for them, what's a good fit for them. And they are, thousands of giving circles all across the globe. Some of them have 5 members that each of them gives, a lot of money. Some giving circles have hundreds of members that give $100 each. There are, giving circles that meet in person, that meet every other week. There are giving circles that meet virtually. There are giving circles inside social clubs, inside companies, with friends, with neighbors. I mean, you name it.
Yeah. So you've described giving circles as having roots in cultures all over the world. How do these diverse cultural perspectives enrich that philanthropic landscape?
Yes, well, and this is beautiful because sometimes people tell me like, "Oh, what you're saying is super innovative," and I said, "No, no, no. First of all, we need to understand that giving circles are not new,
Right.
and they're not American. They're rooted in cultures, for generations, for hundreds of years,
Mhm.
and they have, different names in different parts of the world. But it's about community philanthropy and the whole idea that." A group of people coming together to do some change in their local communities is, as old as humanity itself. And why is so incredibly powerful? Because sometimes, especially here in the US, we get caught up in our own, business, right? And or doing the things in a certain way. And
Right.
sometimes we need to look at how things are going on in all other parts of the world and going back to the roots. And basically, these types of community philanthropy of, people helping neighbors, people helping each other, it's just going back to the root of the word philanthropy, which at the end of the day means love of humanity, not, big industrial complex.
Yeah. When I heard you say that, I think you said that in your TED talk. Upstairs in my house, we do a lot of work in East Africa and Rwanda. And when I was there in July, with one of my good friends and colleagues, we went to this park that had Kinyarwanda written on like huge walls, which is the native language of Rwanda. And I literally have framed in my office or my house upstairs on the wall, love humanity. There are two separate plaques. And when I saw you say them, like, oh my God, that's my people. Yeah, because it's so true, right? We need to love
Yes.
humanity a lot more than we do right now. In your TED talk, you described philanthropy as a source of joy, transformation, collaboration, and intentionality. What shaped that unique perspective for you to view it in that way?
That is why I love about collective giving, because it's not, and especially giving circles, is not crowdfunding. A lot of people confuse giving circles with crowdfunding, and it's not.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with crowdfunding, but for me, sometimes if you ask me, oh, can you support this campaign? I go, I give because you asked me to do it. But 5 minutes later, you don't even remember, right? How many times you go and you donate $10 here, $20 here, $50 there in a given circle, because of the social aspect of it, because of the community that you build with your given circle members, you are really being intentional. You are really learning about different causes, different organizations. Like there is research that has seen that people that participate in giving circles and collective giving groups are incredibly well informed and
Mm.
engaged and educated. So it's all about, and at the end of the day, there's also research that has seen that people that participate in giving circles are happier. Why? Because there is this, sense of community, this social aspect of it. You're learning from one another. And at the end of the day, it's good for your mental health, but also for your physical health.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
Most.
just a couple of days ago, I had the opportunity to hear Chip Conley, that I don't know if you have met him. He's
Oh,
incredible. He has many, many books. I think he just released his seventh book, and he's the founder of the Modern Elder Academy. So he writes a lot about midlife and about, um, being a modern elder and really embraced aging. And the way he describes it is, this crisis of loneliness, right? And how do you create community and why is so important, especially for, people in midlife, like we are, to have this sense of community, to be with one another, to really have that social capital and that social connection. And he was talking about it, and I was kind of just like, raising my hand saying, oh my
yeah.
God, yes, that's my
That.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. So, as someone that's traveled the world, speaking about philanthropy and civic engagement, highlight for us a memorable encounter or event that left that lasting impact. And I'm sure you have dozens, but is there one that comes to mind?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, so actually, I'm super excited because in 2 weeks I'm going to Singapore and I'm going
Oh,
to be there
I'm a,
for a week.
I love Singapore so much. It's one of my favorite places on earth.
Okay, after this you need to give me recommendations because
I
I have been
absolutely
there
can.
once when I was 15 years old, so of course I don't remember anything. Um, but yes, I'm going in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be doing maybe like four presentations and a 3 hour training for corporate leaders, nonprofit leaders, foundation leaders, because they're involving even the government. They are really, looking at giving circles as a way to ignite a culture of philanthropy in the whole country. Um, but I can tell you that one memorable one was a virtual encounter that I had with a group of young professionals in China. When the pandemic started, we got in contact with the Shanghai United Foundation. They were hosting about 3 giving circles. Right now they have 30 giving circles. And
Wow.
giving circles are just sprouting in China as a way to mobilize money to different communities. And it was so amazing to see the enthusiasm that this group of people, are having by just, doing something that is joyful for them, but it's been completely transformational for their communities. I also, a couple of years ago, I traveled to Mexico, and as I was telling you, I am from Mexico City, so it was like a homecoming for me. Going there, I trained 50 community foundations that are starting giving circles. They're starting to host giving circles also, right? As a way to change this narrative. Because, in many, many countries, you hear the word philanthropy and it's a very charged word. Actually,
Mm.
when we were launching Philanthropy Together, a lot of people told us, like, don't use the word philanthropy in the name of the organization because a lot of people have very strong feelings about that word. And I said, no, 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 I am going to use the word on purpose because we
Mhm.
are reclaiming it.
Right.
We are reclaiming it because we, as you said, philanthropy is love of humanity. Everybody, it's like, who can say, oh, I don't love humanity? We all can be philanthropists and should be philanthropists. Starting from a very young age, we need to be teaching children to give their time, to give their gifts, to give their resources.
Yeah. When describing giving circles, you say that members always walk in with something to share and they walk away with something learned. And I found that so powerful because, as you and I know, here in the US anyway, there is so much divisiveness going on right now that I think we've forgotten how to approach situations with an open heart and an open mind. So, can you speak to that a little bit?
Totally. And that's another thing that I love about the model, because it is about hearing different perspectives. It is about putting your individual decision in the back burner for the decision of the group. The moment you join a given circle, you know that you're joining a group and the decision will be made with the group. So, exactly what you said. I always, when I used to facilitate 23 given circles at Latino Community Foundation, I always told, the members, you need to come with an open heart and an open mind, because you may have an idea, a preconception about, oh, I want my our pool donation to go to this group, or I think this group is better because ba 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 ba. First of all, I always said there's no right or wrong group. These grassroots organizations are doing incredible work in the community. All of them are incredible. Of course, you need to make a decision, but always, with this open heart and open mind. Why? Because the moment we engage in dialogue, right, I can hear your perspective. I can put myself in your shoes and I may change my mind. And my opinion, the next time I have a conversation with another person, is going to be richer because I have your perspective. So that is why I always said, It's, you come with something to share, but you leave with something learned. And as you said, why is so important? Collective giving is an exercise in democracy. It's a perfect, these giving circles are mini labs of civic engagement, of dialogue, of, as you said, being in a space where you and I may not see eye to eye in many ways, but we can still get together to rally behind a cause that is close to both our hearts. So it's about looking and finding our similarities and what unite us instead of, focusing on the things that set us apart.
Yeah. Let's dive into traditional philanthropy for a moment and the perception of that. So, traditional philanthropy, at least here in the US, is often given with numerous strings attached to it. And your approach cuts through all of that and aims to shift the power back into the hands of the people on the ground that you're trying to serve. So, why is that approach so important? And what's the impact of approaching it in that way?
Well, as a fundraiser myself, I have been in this for about 13 years. Oh my God, there are so many bad practices in funding and in philanthropy, right? Um, and we do a lot of learning, but we also do a lot of unlearning, right? We work with many groups, many giving circles that have been, doing this kind of work for 20 years, and they are unlearning these bad practices because we shouldn't be making nonprofit leaders jump through hoops for, $5,000 or $10,000 or even, $50,000. Like, they are the ones that know what their community needs. We as donors, we don't know. We don't know anything. That is why we're, moving the money to them, right?
Right.
So we need to create these trusting relationships. And again, if I am going to trust you, I'm not going to trust you blindly. I need to build a relationship with you in order to trust you and for you to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you do that is, again, by being vulnerable, by creating a personal relationship, by looking each other in the eyes and saying, I see you as, my friend, my sister, someone that is doing the same work as me, instead of, you know, I am the one with the power because I have the money and you don't. It's just changing that mindset. And it's incredibly powerful when I remember as a fundraiser when, I used to get very upset when people would say no, to support my foundation, right? And I remember saying, just changing it and saying, I'm not asking you for money. I'm giving you the opportunity to be part of my mission. And I think, in giving circles, we do that. It's like, okay, we are given this incredible opportunity to be part of the mission of this organization. So it's just changing
Yeah.
that mindset. And why it's important? Again, because the people that are, leading those nonprofits, they know what the community needs, not
Right.
us as donors.
Yeah. How does the collective impact of giving circles not only democratize and diversify philanthropy, but foster that sense of community engagement and empowerment in the members?
Well, the beauty of this is that is is not only an economic donation, right? A financial
Mhm.
contribution. You go beyond the dollar. So you interact with these groups a lot more, right? A lot of times, the members of the giving circle are also members of the community. So you have many giving circles that are, for example, the LGBTQ community, a group of LGBTQ people giving to LGBTQ causes, right? So there's a lot of overlap. I have had many times where nonprofit leaders that receive a grant from a giving circle call you the day after and say, hey, can I join the giving circle as a donor? Like, I love this process.
Wow.
So it's like, going round circle. And also, as I was telling you, the impact goes beyond the dollar, right? Because people the moment you start learning about each organization, you get passionate about them. So you
Right.
start volunteering with them, and not volunteer in the sense of, oh, I'm going to take my Saturday, I'm going to go and, help with the food pantry.
Mhm.
That's great. And you can become a board member. You can be a committee member. You can be helping with your skills, right? If you are a lawyer, if you're an accountant, if you're a marketer. Um, Also, with we call it the 5 T's of giving circles. So it's your treasure, which is the money, your time, volunteering, your talent, your ties, which is, you and I are part of different networks, right? You're part of your neighbors, your friends, your high school friends. So sometimes those doors that you can open for the causes that you care about are even more powerful than the amount of money that you can move to them.
Right.
So it's always good to think, okay, how else can I support that organization that I care about?
Mhm.
And then your testimony with your voice. How can you elevate their message? How can you talk to your family and your friends about that organization that you love so they can support that organization too? So it's this ripple effect of generosity.
Yeah. So I want to share with our listeners some staggering statistics and then have you speak to them a little bit. So as of late 2022, so hopefully these have shifted a little bit. Here in the US, 88% of funding goes to the top 5% of nonprofits. Communities of color receive 8% of philanthropy dollars. Issues affecting women and girls, which is our passion, receive only 1.9%. And even more inconceivable, not even 1/3 of 1% goes to the LGBTQ community. So, how do we shift the narrative and reprioritize funding for these groups? What do we do?
Exactly. And I'm very sad to say that the numbers have not shifted. I believe women and girls were now at 2%, which is like, oh, yay, but it is ridiculous. It
Yeah,
is
that
ridiculous and it is infuriating. It should,
is
get all of us mad.
right.
And, in terms of women and girls, if you think about women and girls of color,
It's
it's
worse.
it's tiny, 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 tiny. So how that is why, again, we cannot wait for a billionaire to decide that those causes are, worthy of getting money.
Right.
It's why we, all of us, need to do something about it. But because only like that we can shift.
Hmm.
When we shift the power of philanthropy from just a few people into all of our hands, we are going to shift what gets funded,
Right.
right? We're not going to be waiting for anybody to say, oh, yes, let's put some funding here. And, in the 88% that goes to the top 5%, people are like, no, who is getting all the money? The reality is the majority of philanthropic dollars go to hospitals because all hospitals are nonprofits,
Right.
universities,
Hmm.
and it's not all universities equal. Like, those universities with the huge endowments, I mean, really, do they need more money?
Right.
And the church is a nonprofit too. So 88% goes there, which leaves many, many, many nonprofit organizations totally underfunded.
Yeah. Well, and Giving Circles is on a mission to transform that narrative and totally, really disrupt how philanthropy is done. So I love that.
Totally, because, Robin, something that I forgot to mention, the power of giving circles is that a lot of times giving circles become the seed funders, especially for small nonprofits. Those
Yeah.
nonprofits that are, too small to be able to apply for a big grant from a foundation
Mhm.
or a company. Giving circles are just, you have your individual donors, then you have a giving circle. So they become seed funders of these organizations. And also, it's kind of the seal of approval, because if this organization has been funded by your giving circle for a couple of years,
Mhm.
then they can go and ask a foundation like, hey, would you invest in us? Giving
Right.
circle such and such has been supporting us, right? We have the trust of the community. So it's incredible how powerful a giving circle is as a vehicle to support grassroots nonprofits.
Yeah, it helps level the playing field even a little bit.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Take our listeners into the impact of your work a little bit. So, share with us a story of one of the nonprofits that have benefited from this model and how has it made a difference in their work?
Okay, and this story is in the well, it's the other side of the story from the story that I have in my TED talk from Martin. But there is this amazing nonprofit organization in the Central Coast here in California, in Watsonville, which is a very, agricultural area. So
Mhm.
Digital Nest is a small nonprofit that is providing like coding trainings for the children of farm workers. I
Okay.
mean, this is in the middle of of rural area.
Hmm.
And the children go here to learn how to build websites, how to make videos, how to like literally learn how to code. And the place is beautiful. It's called Digital Nest, and you go inside, and it looks like you are at the Google campus. Like it's supposed to be like that. It's like literally, inspirational and aspirational for young people to be there. So when I was at Latino Community Foundation, the Latinos in Tech Giving Circle, one of the members said, I want to nominate Nest for a grant. We
Hmm.
didn't know about Digital Nest. So Digital Nest got a small grant from the Latinos in Tech Giving Circle. Oh my God. From that, like the visibility that they started getting, right? The way everything opened up to more funding, more visibility, more board members. Digital Nest has now 3 different campuses. They have
Wow.
grown 10 times. So it's, and their members, some of their students have become board members of Digital Nest, and they open a Latino giving circle in the Central Coast to involve people in the community to give back to the community.
That's
So it's
amazing.
and yeah, and like that story I have so many.
We could spend hours just doing that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, I
It's the
know
fun
the,
part of the work.
yeah, that's the fun part for sure.
Yeah.
So, I know Philanthropy Together, you have a really strong commitment around DE&I. Can you share some specific actions or initiatives that you're taking to promote those values within the philanthropic landscape? What does that look like?
Totally. And it's something that's in our values from
Mhm.
our team, right? We have an incredible diverse team in terms of geographic areas in the country, of ages, of races, of sexual orientations, everything. It's something that we breathe. Um, with the given circles, we want the given circles that exist to really reflect, the diversity of the demographics of the country. And again, why is for us that important? Because we want to make a dent in those horrible statistics that you share.
Yeah.
And, at the end of the day, everything is richer if it's more diverse. I mean, if you are having a conversation with your friends and everybody thinks the same, it's like, yeah, well, it's nice, but it's not thought provoking.
Right.
If you have a conversation with a group of people that are, challenge you intellectually, are making you think, that's when the conversation becomes richer. And it's, that's life. Life is diverse, and we need diverse voices. And when we think about diversity, it's not only about race or gender or sexual orientation, it's also about age. I feel
Right.
that a lot of times we leave, young voices outside. And this model, for those of you that are listening to us and have children, this is the perfect model for young people. And
Hmm.
I can tell you a story of a young woman in Arizona, Lily. She started a giving circle when she was a sophomore in high school. She wanted to rally 100 teenagers. Well, she rallied 180 teenagers,
Wow.
each of them giving $25 a quarter. And they are supporting nonprofit organizations that support teenagers in mental health, in homelessness, in addictions, like everything. Right now, Lily has helped launch 30 youth giving circles across the country. It's doable.
Wow. That is beyond incredible. The I think 2 episodes ago we had a guest on the podcast, Susanna Welford, and her mission is all around getting young women into politics. And
Yes,
she said that we have to listen to the young voice. Any conference we go to, and you and I've been to, hundreds, you see the same type of people on the panel, the keynotes. The young voice is not included, and they have such amazing, rich, innovative perspectives that are going to help us change all of this if we would just listen. So
totally.
that's incredible. I love that.
I had the opportunity to meet this incredible group of young people, the Youth Climate Justice Fund. And it's a group of young people across the globe. Like I think they are in their teens and early 20s.
Yeah,
And what they do is they are supporting climate initiatives created by young people.
incredible. In,
Created by young people. And it's powerful because at the end of the day, they are the ones that are going to be dealing with whatever us, the midlife, the midlifers did with this planet. So we definitely, I totally agree with you. We need to involve our youth voices.
yeah. Outside of some of the challenges that we've already talked about, what are some of the significant barriers that you see in achieving widespread philanthropy and collective giving?
Well, I think people get too much into their heads, right? They're like, this is difficult. I cannot do it. What am I going to find some people to do it with me?
Make it
And
hard.
excuse me?
They make it hard.
Yes, they make it hard, but it's all in your head,
Right.
right? It's like sometimes we tell people like, just do it. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Hmm.
Doesn't have to be perfect. Just start doing it. Every one of us has two friends that you can sit down and you say, hey, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Would you do it with me?
Hmm.
And it starts like that. I feel that is one big barrier. Another one, I would say, and this is very, very, very sad. We are becoming numb, and we cannot become numb or of what is happening, around us. Um,
Speak a little bit more to that. Like, in what ways do you see us? I agree with you 1,000%. Speak a little bit to what do you mean by we're becoming numb?
I think, there's so many challenging things happening in the world, right? That we get shocked the first day, or maybe for a few days, and then we forget it. And then it's just like white noise here. And we cannot allow that to happen, right? Everything, like, everything keeps going. And and I see it especially, with when there is a tragedy, right? A natural disaster. Like people rally to help at the beginning, which is amazing. We mobilize, we move resources, we help, we volunteer, blah, blah, blah. 2 weeks later, no one remembers. And what is crucial in a natural disaster, in any tragedy, is to think beyond the short term. What is the medium term? What are the needs of the people affected in the medium term? And then long term, how do we make sure that when that natural disaster happens again, because it will happen again, fires, floods, everything will happen again. How do we make sure that the people are not that affected? Because at the end of the day, the people most affected in all these natural disasters are the people, with less income, people of color. So That's when it gets to the advocacy and the policy change, right? The systemic change. How do we make sure that we also use our voices to because all the money we can throw money to problems all we want. If there is no systemic change, nothing changes at the end of the day.
Right. So let's dive into some of those key lessons a little bit. So, what are some takeaways or lessons that you've learned from your decades of experience in philanthropy that could really help guide our listeners on how to become more active and impactful philanthropists? What would you say to them?
I would say take the time take the time to meet with those organizations that are in your backyard, in your town, in your city, and get out of your head because, some people were like, well, we're always nominating the same groups. And I said, what do you mean? Like, there's, dozens of nonprofits in your area. So don't like look beyond the usual suspects.
Mm-hmm.
Look beyond the big names, the big nonprofit names. People always think the ACLU, the Red Cross, the Boys
Right.
and Girls Clubs, the Y. Those are amazing organizations, don't get me wrong, they're amazing organizations. They have a lot of funding. Look to the tiny ones. Look for that women's shelter that is in your town that doesn't have the funding that they need. My giving circle, one of the giving circles that I'm part of, one time we gave a grant to an organization in our county, San Mateo County. There are so many people speaking Spanish there. There was one organization supporting survivors of domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a caseworker that spoke Spanish.
Wow.
We
I
didn't know that.
was when you said that. Wow.
Our first grant, that was tiny. We said, okay, we need this for
Yeah.
you to hire someone that speaks Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, another powerful story because from there, the members of my giving circle, a lot of them got so involved. Three of them have been members on the board. One has been board chair. Two of them took the caseworker training and became caseworkers. Right now, most of their staff is bilingual. Most of the board, they have a lot of Latino representation. It's like, you can do a lot. And that first grant, Robin, that was $10,000. It was not, $250,000. It was $10,000. But we were able to say, we want to make change here.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, yes, do your homework. Two, check your expectations. No one can change the world with $10,000. So that whole thing that we always want to say, oh, how many people are they going to to help? And I want to know exactly where all my dollar, my donation went.
Back to
And
the
I
strengths
don't,
you're talking
yeah,
about. Yeah.
yes, I don't believe in overhead. Come on, people. Nonprofits need to pay rent. They need to
Right.
pay the light. They need to pay salaries, and
Mm-hmm.
they need to pay good salaries. There is a horrible, turnover in nonprofits.
Yeah.
Why? Because people get burned out so often
Mm-hmm.
because the salaries are ridiculously low. So be the one, be the funder who says, here is an unrestricted grant. Use it to pay your people, to pay your rent, to pay, to use it in the programs that you want to have and you don't get the funding for.
Right.
Like really, start trusting. And I know, to build trust, you need to build a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Start building those relationships. Take the time to do it.
You and I are so passionate about this topic. We could literally spend hours talking about this. And I'm gonna. So, where can our listeners learn more about philanthropy together?
Oh, great. So, go to our website, philanthropytogether.org. Every single resource that we have there is free. So we have a YouTube channel with a bunch of videos. We have a resource library. We have trainings every month. And it's going to be a lot of fun because if you think I have energy, you should meet Taisha Wilson, our director of engagement. She has, the most energy ever. So we have trainings for individuals who wants to start your giving circle, group coaching, one-on-one coaching. We have trainings for community foundations or corporate, corporations. We also have a virtual convening in May 7 to the 9, and everybody's invited. It's free. We have hours and hours of content from the last 3 years there too on our website. So just, engage with us. We have a directory of giving circles. So if you're kind of like, hey, I don't know if this is for me, I would like to try it before starting one, go to our website. There is the directory. You can put your zip code or a keyword, like for example, women and girls in Indianapolis, and you can find a giving circle near you. And if there's no a giving circle near you or nothing that calls you, just get into one of the trainings and we'll help you start your own giving circle.
Incredible. Sara, thank you so much for this conversation.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah, we will have links to Sara's bio and her TED Talk, which you all need to watch because it's really incredible. We will have all of that stuff in the show notes, and we will see you back here next time. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to Women Igniting Change. I know creating change matters to you. If you enjoy what we talk about on the show, please take one action today and share it with someone who could benefit from listening. Until next time, keep standing up and speaking out for what matters.